Hello and welcome to Men Behaving Kindly. It's Steve Adair here, and I'm excited to be partnering up now and introducing to you someone that I've had on my conversations before. But we've been doing a lot of work over the last couple of years and decided that we're going to look at joint working together around men behaving kindly and what that means to us. So I would like to introduce to you.
Thank you, Steve. I know we've known each other for a while and we've spoken at conferences and done the odd webinar program together. And it's always been an absolute pleasure. It's always
Yeah.
been it's always been much greater than the sum of its parts, I think. So I am so excited that we get a chance to explore men behaving kindly. I feel it's such a profoundly important conversation to be having. Um, so would you like to give us a flavour of what your take on is of men behaving kindly?
Yeah. So my idea of when I started it was I remember being younger and back in the day of living in a village where you would go along to the local pub and that was your gathering place, and it just so happened that alcohol was there. But it's a place where you would meet. But also something what I saw was like there would be the men coming along and maybe having a beer straight after work on a Friday, and that was their kind of counselling or therapy session because they would kind of offload to their mates what they were thinking, what they're feeling, and then go home and be a lot more happier because they'd done that. Fast forward to where we are now, all by one, and that particular village pub is left. And so obviously those men have grown and they've got their own relationships and settled down and married and so on. But when I kind of look at what's happening in their lives, especially the people that I hang out with, there is some lost in the world of alcohol. There's some get lost in the world of drugs. There's some whose relationship or is no longer together. And it really got me reflecting, surely that's not just true of that environment. What else is really going on? So I've always been curious, the press that men get. And one of the things that really came to me though was at heart, men are filled with kindness. And what would it be like if we started having a conversation that we started looking at men behaving kindly, giving no matter what experience that they have been through, that there's a kindness behind everything. Kindness is part of the system of how we're made. And that's what got me. And I thought, well, I know men who behave kindly. I know men who are actually out there wanting to make a difference in other men's world. And I think that's innately what we're all wanting to, no matter what walk of life that we're actually doing. But maybe we've been listening to our own internal stories of how we're not good enough, maybe societal stories of not being good enough. And I just want to really have a conversation where we can start really looking at who we are, not who we think we are or who we have to be. Because then I think that's where we find a quiet, peaceful mind. And we find again that it's innate being, it's there, regardless of who we think we are or act out of. So that's where I'm excited when I get together with you, a fellow man, that we have conversations where we can come from the heart, but in a very practical, down to earth way. And yeah, I'm just curious over the weeks that we have these conversations, how we can talk heart to heart, practical, spiritual, whatever we want to call it. But just really create a space where men can get to maybe take a moment out for themselves, where they get to see that kindness and they get to see that we're calling it behaving, but we are actually more than our behavior. We're not our behavior, we're just acting out of a limited belief system or whatever. But that's things that we'll explore as we're going along.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Steve. Thanks. there's something about the mask that we wear. I mean, all human beings develop what we think of as a mask, that we, an image of ourselves, a perception that we want the world to see of us. And sometimes that mask can get really heavy because it's made of all the things that we want people to see of us, but it's also made of all the things that we want to hide from the world, the shame and the guilt and the not good enoughness that I would say a lot of people have an experience of. They have an idea of themselves that isn't always the most kind. We're not kind to ourselves. And I think that's one of the things about this conversation that I'd love to explore is, as you say, that kindness is not it's not a personality trait. That kindness and that compassion and that love, as far as I can see, comes from a deeper part of ourselves. It's that deeper part of ourselves is made of kindness and compassion. And what's so interesting is that we are, I think myself, when I speak for myself, I was conditioned very early on out of my natural inclination to kindness by the world, by how I was treated at school, by the expectations of parents and society of how I should behave. And so I created my own mask. And it got really heavy. It's so heavy to keep this mask in place, to hold it up, to try to be this person that I wanted the world to see me as. And that, in my case, it caused severe depression. It caused, kind of suicidal ideation. It was shame and guilt and anxiety all rolled into one. And trying to keep it up there, trying to show people the person that I wanted them to see, made it really hard because I knew that wasn't that person underneath. I knew that on the one hand, I had lots of things to be ashamed of, lots of not good enough. But I didn't know that underneath the mask and underneath the layer of shame and guilt, there was this diamond of love and kindness and compassion and this beautiful essence that I now know who we really are. I now know that we have a choice. I didn't know that I had a choice. So one of the things that I want us to be able to explore and for people to see is that we all have a choice to explore who we really are underneath the mask. That would be my wish. for everybody to see the beauty of their essential self.
That's beautiful. When I hear you say that, Steph, what I hear is the words, innately we are not damaged or broken. The innocence of a child when it's learning to crawl and to walk, to talk. We're learning about the world and what potentially we think lives outside of us. And in that learning, we are taught, we pick up ourselves that people are separate from us, people are different from us. And that leads on to us thinking that because we've experienced life in a certain way, it defines who we are. And that's who we're repeatedly going back to in our ego, our intellectual understanding. We repeatedly go back to that. But what I hear what you've said, there is power in seeing what keeps it alive. And there's also power in seeing that we think that we can't let that go, that we're just stuck because that's what happened. But through these conversations, I hope that the people get a chance to see that it's not denying the experiences happened, but are they really happening now, or is it just in our own thinking? There's power in actually seeing that, yes, it feels like, because the way that our system is built, we have like a feedback system. So if we have a negative thought in some way, then we're going to have a feeling it's going to be attached to that. But yet, as what you were saying, behind all that is a diamond. It's untouched. And we know that a diamond is priceless. The true nature, the true value. So inside every single one of us is that understanding, which shines, like when the sun sees it, it shines. It's like you need shades. So it's almost like when our true well-being actually hits our diamond, it's like the world just looks completely different. And we have more moments of that than what we don't. But we seem to, in our psychology, get lost in the fact that I'm down, life sucks, this is what's going on. And that might be the experience that we're going through, but it's seeing that that diamond is still there regardless of what's going through. And that the more that we know that, we can start looking through experiences that we've been through and thought, wow, I never thought I'd have got through that, and I have. Yeah, I might be left with some thinking about it. It might be repetitive thinking sometimes, but I can see that I'm only overthinking that in the moment. To me, that becomes powerful because we're then beginning to see that if we look at for this as a metaphor, our true nature is the diamond, we're seeing the power of thought, not the thinking of it, but the power of thought to change our reality one moment to the next. And then we can stop being concerned whether thought is positive or negative, or getting into this is not good or that's bad, or we just see, oh, okay, so I'm having a bit of a thought storm, or I'm a bit over negative at the moment. And if we rain check ourselves, it's like sometimes we just need to go and eat. Sometimes we need to sleep. Sometimes we need to, I remember years ago, actually, when I first did the psychotherapy training, it was like, tell your clients to get a pillow and scream into the pillow. But sometimes that helps. And I'm not recommending that that's what people do, but sometimes that just helps to get that charge. But I see sometimes what we've done, we've become afraid of what could go wrong instead of what could go right. And what I love about what you pointed with the diamond, that's beginning to create a conversation of what's going right. Pointing inside to where our real nature comes from, where we get to experience us as the people that we really are. And we see that, yes, we are thinking, every single one of us are thinking creatures, but just because we think a thought, we don't have to believe it. So what I'm excited about is I know the conversations that we have, it blows my mind sometimes, if not all the time. And it always gives me something so to learn, to understand. And I think that's the difference. And these conversations are not about you have to learn how that you could be well. It's recognizing that let's change the narrative surrounding that, that there is innate health and well-being already inside of you. From the moment that you came to this earth, that guided you to walk, to talk, to crawl, your teeth to come in, your all those kind of things. So where we are now, it's speaking to that health. It's actually asking the listeners to just go on that journey with us of what is my diamond? How does it make sense to me? Not as in when I say make sense, that it becomes something you mark down and you keep as a mantra, but just play with the idea that there is something inside of me that isn't damaged, it isn't broken. How does my life change then?
Oh, how cool is that? As you were speaking, Steve, it came to me that our experience of life comes and goes. All things must pass. Everything, including our experience, comes and goes. Sadness, guilt, blame, happiness. It's all transient with thought. Thought is transient. What doesn't come and go is the diamond. What doesn't come and go is who we really are underneath the psychology, underneath the conditioning, before thought. The newborn baby has no conditioning. The newborn baby is just curious, is just responding to life moment to moment, and is a pure example of the diamond and the consciousness that we are, before we overlay it with all the transitory stuff, the stuff that comes and goes. So the question that I had for myself and that I have for everybody listening to this is, now we know we have a choice of where to look. What do we put our faith and trust in? The stuff that comes and goes, or the constant, the stuff that doesn't come and go, the stuff that is the ground to stand on, that we know will always be healing, will always be inspirational, will always be creative, will always be loving, will always be compassionate, will always be kind, beyond the layers of the stuff that comes and goes. That's who we are. And when we look in that direction, life becomes richer. Life has more meaning. Life becomes miraculous. I want everybody everybody to experience that.
Me too. And I think that might be a nice place to just hold that thought and let the thought just float on by. That over the coming weeks, we're going to be doing more of these podcasts, and we really hope that you get something from them, no matter how small or how great. The smallest of little ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds is enough to lift our well-being as a metaphor. So let us know if there's anything that you'd like us to talk about. Let us know if there's anything that you've heard in these conversations. We'd really love to hear about you, because what we're looking at doing is building a Men Behaving Kindly community, and we'd love for you to be part of it. And one way of hearing our community is beginning to hear people's conversations. So you can answer us here, you can send us a personal message through the Facebook page, but whatever you're doing, look after yourself and be well. Until the next time, bye bye.
Bye bye. Bless you.